Folks, the Buffalo Bills played a little football today. They put the uniform on. They ran their reps. We saw the ones. We saw the twos. And without further ado, wow, look at that. Who am I, Dr. Seuss? We are about to be giving you my 5 biggest takeaways from day 1 of training camp. First off, I would like to give a giant shout out to those of you that stuck with me during the marathon this morning. That is right. We were live for close to 3 hours today as we were unpacking everything that happened at camp. I was serving as a consolidated news source, making sure that each and every single one of you could remain informed about what was happening at training camp rather than you having to play catch up at the end of the day. If you were in my morning chat, please let me know. I sincerely appreciate you. And as always, guys, I'm going to need you to roll call in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I know several of you are actually at camp in person. I hope you had a great time, but hit that thumbs up sign for me. As many of you know, it's the easiest way to show some love over here. And roll call in the chat, folks. Where are you tuning in from? How far does Bills Mafia truly extend? As many of you know, we need to give a giant shout out to our good friends over at William Matar, folks. The #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. If you're hurt in a car, you better call William Matar. I wouldn't wish a car accident on anybody, okay? And that's including Dolphins fans. I'm just kidding. Got to call and make sure you have the right representation. Shout out to William Matar. He is indeed the man. Let's check out this roll call real fast right before we get into the nitty-gritty of what happened at camp today. My biggest takeaways. I am absolutely thrilled to discuss this with all of you ad nauseum. Guys, again, we hit over 500 like buttons on my last stream this morning, which says a lot because I know that we could quite easily get, all right? Excuse me. Well over 200 to 250 per stream. So everybody in here watching this episode right now, all 50 of you on YouTube, let's go on ahead and hit that thumbs up sign. Let's propel this out to the YouTube algorithm because I want to make sure that everybody is informed, man. It's an exciting time around here. Bills football. I want as many people in this live chat as humanly possible so we can break this down in detail. All right. So do your part, hit that thumbs up sign, and let's continue bringing on this building this crazy community. Roll call in the chat as well. We have Wyoming in the chat. We have Buffalo, New York. Go Bills. South Carolina is here. St. Louis, Maya, what is going on? We missed you this morning, Maya. Didn't see you in there. Niagara Falls, Ontario. Wyoming is in the building. Beautiful state over there. You cannot be upset about living in a beautiful place like that. I can tell you what. 315. Khalil Shakir says, congrats on 44,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, Khalil Shakir. You had a great practice today, my friend. I can tell you what, guys, keep on keeping on with this roll call in the chat, man. I want to know how far Bills Mafia extends, all right? And hit that thumbs up sign, man. 55 of you are on YouTube. There's no excuse why we cannot have 55 like buttons smashed ready to go. Let's lock this in. My name is Dante, and I am tuning in from Williamsville, New York. Here from California, Los Angeles is in the chat. Jesse, Iowa, Boston, Massachusetts. We have Connecticut. So on the treadmill, Mr. Carrera. Damn, man. Let me tell you what, man. You keep that fitness at an utmost priority, my friend. I can promise you that. Fitness is a very important part of my life. I hope it is with you as well. Liam's mom's house, LOL JK. That is a joke from last offseason. I absolutely love that. Buffalo, New York. Go Bills. Chrissy, hope all is well with you. We have Evening All, Cheektowaga, at work right now. Congrats on 44,000. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. So I think you need to congratulate our audience here, all right? Because we did this together. This is not me. Y'all know that what I do is I like to include my audience in all of my content. So we hit 44,000, ladies and gentlemen. We hit 44,000. Don't you mistake for a second that it was just me, because without you, what would I be? Syracuse, New York. What is up, Southport, North Carolina, Queens, New York. We have Penfield, New York. And Elijah Moore is about to have a great year. Mark my words. All right, listen, folks. So I got to tell you, all right, I had some takeaways today, and Shakir actually ended up bringing up a great point. Obviously, there were the share of standout players, and one player specifically that I am a bit nervous about. I will hold that until the end of the episode, but I think a lot of us are probably on the same page, and it is day one, so I'm trying to bring myself back to reality. But I feel like we need to discuss some of the injuries that were discussed from Sean McDermott's press conference this morning. Last night, we were all but hit with a bombshell of a few players that were added to either the physically unable to perform list or the non-contact or the non-football injury list. That was Dawson. So that was Dawson Knox, and that was Sedrick Van Pran Granger, and that was Spencer Brown. We ultimately ended up getting an answer on two of them. I don't remember if Sedrick Van Pran Granger, if his specific injury was disclosed, but we do know one thing when it comes into Spencer Brown, and that was the one that probably made me the most nervous last night. It sounds like that it's his back coming back to haunt him. Do remember he had back surgery a couple of years ago. And Spencer Brown's first couple of years with the Buffalo Bills, he was quite regularly public enemy number one. You scroll through back in 2022 or 2021 of Spencer Brown on the Buffalo Bills at right tackle, you would quite regularly see fans being very upset with his production. Luckily, last year and the year before, he finally ended up filling in those shoes and became arguably one of the best offensive linemen on this unit. I would say second to Dion Dawkins. Unfortunately, it is indeed his back, as into why he has been placed on the physically unable to perform list. But reasons to stay optimistic has to do with the fact that Sean McDermott said it was nothing but a flare-up with his previous back injury. So what does that tell me? It tells me that Sean McDermott doesn't particularly sound too concerned about it. That is something we can all celebrate. And perhaps he's going into camp this year with the mentality, hey, what has been the thorn in the Bills' side for the past couple of seasons has been injuries. So if I were to put an educated guess into all of this, I am assuming that Spencer Brown is just being slowly implemented back into the offense. He is a veteran. He knows his playbook. He knows what Cromer wants. He's coming back to a unit that is all returning. So the chemistry is going to be there immediately. I'm fine with him chilling on the pup. It sounds like that his back is just slightly aggravated. Rest up. Just make sure you ice yourself down, and he should be good. Now, going up to Dawson Knox, that is a different question, especially since we ended up bringing in a tight end just 2 days ago. He was out there on the field today as well. And we did see Jackson Hawes, as a matter of fact, running a couple of reps with the ones today. That's an interesting tidbit. But Dawson Knox has a hamstring injury. And it's funny because it's a non-football injury. So it goes to show you, I wonder exactly how that hamstring came to fruition. Was he working out on his own accord and he aggravated it? Again, Sean McDermott gave me the sentiment here that it doesn't appear to be something we should all be worried about. Again, he is a veteran. And I think the way that this front office and coaching staff is playing these injuries is brilliant. Don't rush a guy back, even if he's slightly sore. We need to make sure, especially our veterans, our core DNA players, are as healthy as humanly possible going into week one. I could care less about the preseason, especially for veterans. If this was rookies or if this was second-year players, maybe we would be having a conversation. But vets, I'm fine. Slow walk them. Make sure they are as healthy as humanly possible going into week one, into the season. We shouldn't be upset about that. 146 of you are in here rocking with me right now, folks. 68 of you are on YouTube. I'm going to need each and every single one of you to hit that thumbs up sign for me. I really am going to need you to do that, folks. We had over 500 like buttons hit this morning. Over 400 people watching me today. And it all has to do with you just hitting that little thumbs up sign for me, guys. Lock in as we continue to go through my big takeaways. Matthew DeVideo has come in with a super chat. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. I really do. I feel like the player that will be the most okay will be Dawson Knox. I know, right? It is indeed just a hamstring injury. Yes, we don't want our veteran players getting injured for a good amount of the season. Might as well slow walk it. Man, it would be nice if our backups could get us to the playoffs and then have all of our starters of the playoffs, man. Wouldn't that be a dream, man? Stay as healthy as humanly possible. All right. So let's get into some other takeaways that I think you guys might find interesting, and perhaps we could be all on the same page. Okay. I got to tell you, man, today, Dalton Concaid's name was in the news today as far as standouts. In fact, I will put Dalton Concaid as one of my number one standouts of day one for the Buffalo Bills. He connected with Josh Allen in the red zone, contested catch situation, made a highlight reel play. His chemistry with Josh appeared to be off the charts, which is encouraging. But I do kind of want to pump the brakes a little bit because somebody eloquently pointed this out in my chat this morning where they said, Dan, I'm getting deja vu. I'm pretty sure I heard the exact same thing for Josh Allen and Dalton Concaid last year's training camp. And fast forward, and Josh Allen gave him the most off-target throws compared to any other weapon we had on this roster. But it's encouraging, folks. It is wildly, wildly encouraging. Specifically, he was out in the field that same rep where Maxwell Haristen, quote unquote, appeared to be lost, but we will get to Maxwell Haristen here shortly. Look, I don't care what I hear from Dalton Concaid in training camp. For the past 2 years, that's all we have been hearing is what Dalton Concaid does in training camp. Year one, very impressive, right? He did his thing. He stepped up as a receiving weapon for this offense. Last year, he struggled. And we can go out and we can say, listen, it had to do with his knee injury that he sustained against the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not going to be mad at you about that. But I need this man to be the first-round draft pick that he was drafted to be. I need this. I could care less if he goes out and he has dominant rep after dominant rep after dominant rep in practice. But we need to see this on the field in regular season ball in the playoffs. I do have a theory about Dalton Concaid, and perhaps you may have heard this. I do know we're welcoming in quite a few people that may have taken the summer off and are not as locked in with off-season content, so this is for you. Going into the season in 2024 with all the question marks of what Joe Brady was going to do with the Bills offense, his first full season as offensive coordinator, I think most defensive coordinators were under the impression or made a guess that Dalton Concaid was going to be the focal point of the passing attack. I genuinely believe that's how defense is planned against the Buffalo Bills for at least the first half of the season. And then after his knee injury for the Indianapolis Colts, that would also end up explaining that second half. Now, maybe I am giving him excuses. However, nobody thought that Buffalo was going to continuously spread the football around when you have a player, at least on paper, as good as Dalton Concaid was. Now that we are seeing additions, and by the way, Moore looked very, very good. We are going to get to him here shortly. Now that we have Elijah Moore, now that we have Joshua Palmer, I don't think defensive coordinators are really not only going to have a plan for what this offense is, but I don't even think that they are going to be able to have an inkling of what we're going to do. Perhaps this ends up taking some of the pressure off of Dalton Concaid. He stood out to me today. He made a wonderful play right in the red zone, right in a contested catch situation against the defense who, for the most part, dominated all practice long. So when it comes into Dalton Concaid, I am optimistic. However, I'm going to hold my breath until I can see it be proven out in regular season football. Okay, we have Maya coming in pertaining to the Dalton Concaid topic here. I think it won't be the same because Josh knows Kincaid's connection actually something he needs to work on. I feel like all of us can hope. Dalton is going to be a very big player to keep an eye on and to watch play this season because hearing him improving well with his health and being a full participant today has my confidence level up high. Listen, all we can say is maybe Dalton Concaid had a down year due to several different factors. Let's hope that he can bounce back. That's all that we need to say. Of all of the anticipated starters, who do you see being the biggest disappointment? That's a great question, Jesse. Damn, man, like, so I hate to like hop in with the negative energy, you know what I mean? But it is a good question. Like, who do I think is not going to like live up to expectations based off of new additions? So I think Derek Forrest probably. He's that safety that I think a lot of people are really high on. I don't think he makes this team, but here we are. I heard Keon Coleman blew his load again today and didn't even catch a pass. Dude is becoming very concerning. It's funny you say that because I started the episode off with a player that I was very high on that I thought was a boom candidate, somebody that really made a name for himself out at camp. Unfortunately, my friends, Keon Coleman has my vote for the least impressive performance or the most concerning performance of training camp. Now, I do want to walk back a tad because I don't want to take away from what I heard the defense was doing in order to make some of the drops or some of the gaffes that Keon Coleman was putting out on display today on day one. One specific rep was very tight coverage from Christian Benford. And folks, I think we can all agree that Christian Benford is indeed CB1 of this squad. He's one of the most slept on corners in the league. I mean, like literally look at his advanced analytics compared to Patrick Surtain when it comes into preventing separation using his physicality. Benford is no slouch. Say, for example, that some of these reps where Keon Coleman was losing to Dorian Strong, for example, then you're damn right. Maybe I would be concerned. But now that Christian Benford was at the receiving end or at the opposite end of these reps that didn't go Keon Coleman's way, I'm going to remain patient. It is day one. I refuse to draw any conclusions on any player whatsoever after day one because a lot can happen. But I got to tell you, if anybody on this offense needs to have a good camp and needs to give Bills fans some sort of optimism or peace of mind going into the season, it has to be Keon Coleman. It absolutely has to be. We drafted this guy to be a contested catch guy. We drafted this guy to be a red zone threat. And the few opportunities that he had today, he just didn't make a play. Now, I think Keon Coleman had an unfair expectation put on him in 2024 last year. I think people thought that he was truly going to come in and replace verbatim, right, down to the number, Stephon Diggs' production. I think that was unfair because I genuinely believe why he was drafted was to be a better Gabe Davis, not a Stephon Diggs replacement. So I still need him to go out and impress, run with the ones, win those contested catch situations. Because, guys, listen, I hate to be that guy. But rather than us trying to force Keon Coleman into being something that he is not, and that's somebody that can create consistent separation, and that is somebody that's speedy, that's not going to happen. But what we can expect from Keon Coleman and what we must demand is him doubling down at what he is good at. It's his physicality. I have seen several reps where he has been successful in contested catch situations. Today, not so much. And his yards after the catch capabilities. Like, we don't have an offensive, like, wide receiver weaponry that has a one true number one. We have a wide receiver room that takes advantage of being good at one specific trait. And Coleman needs to make sure that he contributes his strengths to this team on a consistent basis. I am going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Again, it is first day of training camp. However, Keon was one of my bust candidates for today. I think that's kind of where I am at. Matt C has come in on Keon. If Keon has the same separation issues again this year, he's going to flop. I wouldn't particularly say that it's a separation issues. He's never going to be a separator. He's never going to be a separator. That's just not the kind of player that he is. And Buffalo knew that. We drafted him because of his size, his physicality, and his potential of being a red zone target, somebody that can come down and help us put points on the board. We just need him to be consistent at what he is good at. And what he is good at is exactly that. Need him to dominate in red zone. And when I heard that he was struggling in red zone drills today on 7-on-7s and on 11-and-11s, that's a problem. Because he is never going to be fast. He is never going to be a separator. He's never going to be a crazy route runner. He is your big body guy that can dominate somebody physically, can come down with contested catches, and is your red zone target. So I'm optimistic he can turn it around. It's day one. I'm not like ringing the alarm bells, if you will, but that is basically where we are at. Folks, we have 118 of you rocking with me in the chat right now. I sincerely appreciate you coming in and showing a little bit of love today. We are going through my key takeaways of day one of training camp. For those of you that joined me this morning, as I went live for about 3 hours breaking down every single piece of news that happened during training camp, I appreciate you. I noticed quite a few familiar faces in the chat, and I noticed quite a few familiar faces today that are coming in for the afternoon stream. I asked, guys, if you can just, all 120 of you, hit that thumbs up sign for me, because as you can see, I like to incorporate my live chat in each and every single episode. Without you guys, this show would be absolutely nothing. I want to grow this community so we can have conversations with all of Bills Mafia spread all across the world. How you can help me achieve that is simply just by doing a nice little click of the mouse, right of that thumbs up sign, and pumping this bad boy up. There is no reason why I don't believe we should be over 100 thumbs up signs. Let's continue to talk a little bit of football. Let's make it happen. We have Ina has come in. Dan, thank you for all the daily coverage. No need to look elsewhere. Always get the news updates from you. Not always can watch you live, but rewatching every day. Go Bills. Football is back. Ina, thank you so much. I appreciate all of the love. Alan has come in. I don't think we need him to be a fade route jump ball guy every time, but also a big body receiver to constantly put pressure on the defense underneath. It's funny you say that because that is all Joe Brady had him run last year. He was the fade god last year, man. A fade route jump ball type of guy. One thing I will give Keon Coleman, because I know that he is subject to a lot of scrutiny with Bills Mafia. Without Keon Coleman last year, I don't think our run game would have been as effective as it was. He is a tremendous run blocker, and we do not give him his flowers for that enough. And I understand that people are like, oh, Dan, we don't care about that. We should. Yeah, we should. One thing I will give to Keon Coleman is that he was instrumental in the Buffalo Bills run blocking scheme last year. And that's something we quite often do not talk about. Prior to his wrist injury, after his wrist injury was an entire different conversation. But let's go from there. Who is your standouts and busts for the defense? Ooh, you want to talk to me about who I thought dominated today, my friend? To nobody's surprise, it's this guy right here. Christian Benford had a day. Christian Benford had a day today. All right. Was locking down Keon Coleman. Had great reps against Elijah Moore. Had a solid rep against Joshua Palmer. And I think it's safe to say that it's money well spent. It's money well spent from Christian Benford, folks. Right? And we got him for a steal, by the way. He's going out there. He's showing why he deserves a bit more credit from the national media. I can assure you that. Loved this guy. One thing that was a big standout for defense as well. Shout out my boy Tre'Davious White. Trey White started off with the ones, by the way. And that's also an interesting tidbit that came out of camp. Sean McDermott was really experimental when it came into corner pairings, safety pairings for practice. Some were running with the ones, some were running with the twos. Starting off with practice, very first rep on 7-on-7s, had Benford and Trey White as CB1 and CB2. Followed by, on the second team, you had Dane Jackson and Maxwell Haristen, and then Max Harrison did end up getting a couple of first-team reps. So it today as well. Something to consider. Solid, right? But Trey White, first off, his energy is back in the house, and I know a lot of us are thrilled about that. But he had a very good rep against Elijah Moore, who, by the way, Moore was also a player who connected with Josh Allen in 7-on-7s right in the red zone drill for a short touchdown, but still. based off of from what I heard from people that are actually at training camp today, that video that was circulating around the internet, right, of Elijah Moore completely just burning people all over the place, like looking so smooth in and out of his breaks, that was on full display today. Like, that guy can ball. He's just as fast as advertised. Great route runner as advertised. He was there. But why I bring him up, and with obviously, so I had to give him his flowers. Trey White had a great rep against him today. What happened was that Trey White ended up using his physicality. He bumped him off of his route, and he ended up winning. With some people are saying that it would have been pass interference. It sounds like the refs were just letting everybody play ball today and wasn't a lot of flags from the side. But that's the Trey White of old. When I heard that, that makes me feel very good, especially about our depth perspective. I still think Maxwell Haristen is going to win the CB2 position. I do. But it's encouraging. It's very encouraging that Tre'Davious White was able to show that, hey, dude, listen, I'm back home in a system that I excelled in. Don't forget, I understand I was injured in the past, but so I promise you, my physicality, my football IQ, my familiarity with the Sean McDermott defense is still right up here. And even when you watch his tape from back when he was in Baltimore, like, he was getting back to where he was. And I'm very excited that he's a part of this depth piece. But shout out to Trey White for making a play, especially against Elijah Moore. That is something we should all be feeling pretty damn good about. Now, the biggest thing I think everybody wanted to talk about was Maxwell Haristen. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was a bit nervous about Maxwell Haristen toward the beginning of practice based off of everything that we were learning. As I mentioned, he started off running with the twos, him and Dane Jackson on the second team. And then he had two specific reps against Josh Allen where it first was targeted toward him, or while he was on the field, he wasn't targeted, excuse me. You could tell that he knew exactly what was going on, right? He seemed comfortable. He didn't get tricked, was exactly where he was supposed to be, and people were encouraged. The second rep was a different story, where Josh Allen actually threw the ball his way, targeting yet another wide receiver, and Josh ended up scoring on the young corner. And that's not a big deal, because obviously we know that he's going up against the MVP of the league. This is his first time going up against Josh Allen in real 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s since training camp has begun. So I was like, okay, he's taking his rookie lumps. It's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period for the young man. Maybe Tre'Davious White is going to win that CB2. And look, I understand it's day one. It's going to take some time. So after those two reps, I was feeling a bit perplexed right about Maxwell Haristen. But then toward the end of practice, and why I am sold on this kid winning CB2, why I was sold on him in the draft process, was that final rep when he was lining up against KJ Hamler. And folks, I would like to remind everybody that KJ Hamler runs about a 4.3. Okay. It started off where KJ Hamler looked like he beat out Maxwell Haristen on the route, was significantly ahead of him with crazy separation. And you saw this clip circulating on the internet from the Buffalo Bills, so you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It shows Mitch Trubisky dropping back, throwing to what seemingly appears to be a wide open KJ Hamler. And all of a sudden, you see Maxwell Haristen come from out of the screen to make a play on the damn football. Folks, you cannot teach that kind of recovery speed. You cannot teach that kind of recovery speed. What made me in love with Maxwell Haristen as a corner coming out of college was that trait specifically. And all I could ever think about was that one rep against Isaiah Bond 2 years ago when Kentucky was playing Texas. Same exact situation. He was lined up against Isaiah Bond. He looked like he was cooked, burned. It looked like he took Maxwell Haristen's ankles. And lo and behold, what appeared to be 3 yards of separation very quickly turned into him being right on top of him and making a play with the pass breakup. That is something that we have needed on this team for so long. a cornerback like Maxwell Haristen, there is no such thing as, oh my God, he got burned. Absolutely no worry whatsoever. He can run with any of these speedster wide receivers across the league. That's why we drafted him. We got him to be an Xavier Worthy eraser. We got him to run stride and stride with Tyreek Hill, all the fast guys. And if anybody has any questions right about our safety room as well, that's another topic I feel like we need to have a conversation about eventually. This guy's a perfect insurance policy because Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp, who are more than likely going to be given the nod to be our starting safety tandem, not the best in coverage, or at least not true free safeties or coverage safeties. Having a guy like this with all of that recovery speed, he can cover a hell of a lot of ground. And as long as he continues to keep familiarizing himself with this playbook and he understands the McDermott system, knows where he needs to be from a zone perspective, and can run in stride with some of the fastest wide receivers in the league, that should be very encouraging. So Maxwell Haristen really made a name for himself today, and I was, thrilled about it. You have no idea. Yo, in Port St. Lucie, Florida, on vacation. Menace Chucks, you enjoy your vacation, man. You enjoy your vacation, man. July 23rd. Let's get it going. We had Matthew DeVideo has come in and says, I got to meet Maxwell Haristen at MafiaCon. He was such a nice person to meet. He seems like a really, really nice young man. Dante, hey, Dan, I have not watched any highlights of today. How did Allen and Cook do? And have you been? It's been a while. So I'll tell you what, man. First off, it's very good to see you as well. I'm glad that you have decided to lock in and hang out with us today. So with Josh Allen, he had 2 touchdown passes from what I understand, in 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s. One was with Dalton Concaid on a contested catch situation. One was with Elijah Moore in 7-on-7s. It's probably going to be like slowed in. What I was really looking at were the DBs. One thing when it comes into running backs in the trenches, like offensive line and defensive line, we're not going to know shit. Probably until week 5 or 6, once pads start going on during practice. It's hard to draw any conclusions, folks, right about the trenches / the run game, because we don't know what's happening, right? Like, so I'm trying to be encouraged about Joey Bosa because he looked good, like right within his reps or something like that. At least that was self-proclaimed, but really we don't know. What I did like to see from James Cook is not only did he show up today, he also was a full participant. Video after video after video of him practicing with the team. That makes me feel wonderful. That makes me feel wonderful. You have no idea. But let's lock in. Folks, that's going to have to do it for another edition of the Don Mafia Report. Again, I want to remind everybody, I am going live on the AFC East Roundtable here in a half hour. The AFC East Roundtable will be live in just a half hour, where myself, Colby, TD Finstock, and Richie from NY Jets Media are going to be breaking down everything AFC East. I need each and every single one of you to tune on into that show. I think a lot of you are pretty familiar with it. If not, do me a favor, guys. We have a great show for you today, and we are dead set on keeping you entertained. I want you to go subscribe to this channel right now. It's called the AFC East Roundtable, and come show some love. Bills Mafia is regularly dominating that chat. Every single time that we have a poll of what fan bases are representing, the Buffalo Bills, they dominate. And I want each and every single one of you to be here, right here. Here is the channel right here. We will be live in exactly 25 minutes. Do not miss out on your opportunity to lock in with the boys. I love each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Deuces.